Yeah. So let's win. Over to you. Maybe you can start. Hello, let's win.
Hi, Benedicta. Thank you. So, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you're joining us for the Innovating for Good, leveraging open source tools to improve WASH programs. So we're going to start by everyone introducing themselves in the chat. So you just say your name and where you're joining us from whilst I run through. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to start by running you through what the community working group is all about whilst everyone introduces themselves in the chat. So you just say your name and where you're joining us from. So the community working group is a group dedicated to the support and engagement of community groups and contributors who aim to leverage OpenStreetMap data and tools for positive social, humanitarian, or development impact. So if you're interested in joining the community working group, you'll find more information from the wiki link that is shared there. So we're going to run through some house rules or reminders. The first thing is this webinar is being live streamed via YouTube and is being recorded. And we kindly ask everyone to abide by the code of conduct. If you are not familiar with the code of conduct, there is a link that is shared here on the screen that you need to abide by. The first thing that I will just mention a few of the items from the code of conduct. We must be all welcoming. We must be respectful and must be careful in your word phrasing and tone. And when we disagree, we should try to understand why. So this code of conduct is just for us to operate on a common ground as a community. So yeah, the program structure for the day, we have 6 minutes for each speaker's presentation, and we'll leave 5 minutes for questions and answers from the house directed to the specific speaker. And we'll also have 20 minutes discussion between the moderator and the speakers. So after that, we'll have a 30 minutes editathon that will be led by Geoffrey. We'll be improving OSM wiki pages on WASH themes. So Geoffrey will take us through that. And you are also welcome and free to share this meeting and its proceedings on our different social media accounts using the hashtags OSM, WASH, Open Data, Open Mapping, and Open Source Tree, so that we just keep it going and spread the word. So yeah, to get started with, we'll start by having our first speaker. Our first speaker will be Zach Moindi from Kenya. He's the lead mapper for Map Kibera Trust. So over to you, Zach.
Thank you so much, Letwin. As you've heard, my name is Zach Mwindi. I work with Map Kibera as the lead mapper, and I'll be sharing the work that we've been doing around WASH here in Kenya. So maybe Letwin can allow me to share my screen. I'm trying to. Just a minute, I'm trying to sort out my presentation. So, so right at the peak of COVID-19, when the cases, we just had like the first cases being reported in Kenya, something also was happening in Kibera. There was, sorry, I can't hear you. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so let me just continue. So there's issues to do with lack of water. Most of the taps in Kibera were running dry, and there was disconnection of water connectivity. And as you know, with COVID-19, there was a lot of there was need for proper hygiene. So we were already facing a problem. Here, COVID is here, but there's also issues to do with water. And so we took upon it to just try to understand how the community were dealing with the situation, considering there is lack of water right in between when the COVID had just hit the country. So we deployed different methodology to handle the issue of wash within Kibera and trying to understand how the community were dealing with it. So the first thing that we did was conduct a baseline survey to understand how the community were coping with the situation, especially the lack of water. And we also understanding at the same time, there were new regulations that were put by the government, things like lockdown. So how are the community dealing with that, especially if you are required to be in your house by 6 p.m., how are you going to access wash facilities such as toilets? Because most of these communities, they don't have toilets within their household, so they have to go outside to access this facility. So we did a survey to just understand how the community are dealing with the situation, or as the prices gone up, how the frequency of access to water, and if did they have to go to further distance to access these facilities. So after the survey, we went ahead. The baseline survey really informed us on the sort of questions that we were going to use when you're going to the field to collect data. But also at the same time, we also deployed OSHA platform to just crowdsource already existing facilities that were being set up by the different organizations within the communities. Things like hand wash facilities that were being provided by different organizations, trying to highlight where they are, then share them with the community so they can know if they need like facilities for washing their hands, then where are they located within the community. So after collecting the data, we also went ahead and did analysis. Lastly, we did like a publication just to show how the community dealt with issues to do with wash during the COVID pandemic, and how that can inform some solutions that will come in case we come across such situation again in the near future. So these are some of the outcomes that were coming from the baseline survey. So this, of course, issues with scarcity of water prices went high. There is, of course, that also affected the cost of living because of people who are depending on these jobs. People are selling water in the community, or people have like wash facility that is like a source of income to them. So there's that loss of jobs, low income. You can see the school closure also indirectly, it was also affecting schools, because if I've lost a job, then that means I can't be able to provide for my family or even pay for school fees that is needed. So these are just some of the outcomes of that were coming from the baseline survey that we conducted, and also when we were crowdsourcing information using the SHID platform. So what are some of the challenges that we encountered? So there was one issue of lack of fitting tags, because we are dealing with new information. So we had to brainstorm around and build new tags to fit with the information that we were collecting. We also are looking from other communities, some of the tags that they have used before, and trying to see how they can cooperate with the work that we are doing and the information that we are also trying to collect. So some of the opportunities that we saw was there is need to restore the dignity of the communities that we work in through the use of data to advocate for better service provision. It's so unfortunate that in the current time that we are living in, that people are still struggling with access to proper sanitation facilities. Then lessons, there's need to generate like a wiki page to compile pre-existing tags and also allow communities to update and add new tags that they are using within their WASH projects. Then there's also need to have like a proper documentation of the processes to be able to share with other communities so people can be able to learn. So if someone is coming up with a new WASH project, they can always know there's a place where there's a central repository with all the information of projects that have been done before, and they can be able to pick up some lessons from that and use in their project. Yeah, thank you. That's our project in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Zach, for the wonderful presentation. Do we have any questions from the room for Zach? Benedicta, can you help me check if there are any questions in the chat?
Nothing in the chat. I think we can just move to the next speaker. And if anyone have any question, they can just post them on the chat and then we can discuss them after. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So our next speaker will be Asha Mustafa. So Asha, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so my name is Asha and I'm from Tanzania, Associate Project Manager. So Open Map Development Tanzania is a registered NGO that's based in Tanzania, and this is our team. For the past 5 years since the organization, the NGO has been registered, we have been pioneering data collections just to influence the use of data and making decisions in our community, as well as for the government and other stakeholders. And also, we have been pioneering data collection, analysis, training, capacity building, for example, university students, government and private sectors, as well as innovations using the open source technologies to ensure the use of data in improving our community when it comes to social issues or economic issues. And for that, we have been doing different kind of projects. One of them is being waste collection management in our country. So in waste collection, solid waste management has been one of the projects that I've been doing since 2019, which has direct impact on the water accessibility, sanitation, as well as hygiene in the community. So we have been trying to work on data collection with clients, client identifications, depends on their needs, as well as some OSM data analysis, community interventions, stakeholder workshop for the government and as well as the community as well, and some innovations using drone technology to identify the waste collection areas. Main aim is to inspire the use of data or making data available for everyone when it comes to solid waste management in order to make sure the hygiene is provided to our community, and also to help the community being safe from diseases, as well as get the accessibility of the service they want. In order to work on these waste management activities, we use the methodology of always is local people, local devices, and open knowledges, where we work with community who are facing this challenge of solid waste management. We also work directly with the students who from the universities, trying to experience the program in the community and learn from the community so that they could share with the rest of their families as well as the member they would know, so that we can help the waste management and also we all work with service providers who are providing this service directly from the community or from the businesses, so that to help keep our city clean as well as our country at large. But also we use innovation such as drones to make sure that we identify places which have waste and waste providers, although the government can identify these pinpoint areas and provide the service in order to make sure the city or the country at large is clean. So generally, you might wonder how the waste is being collected in our country. So the waste comes from the waste production, which is either household or businesses areas. And then there's two ways. Goes from the waste production to the collectors, which can be formal or informal, then goes direct to the landfills, or it's from the waste collection who are informal or informal, goes to separation. This is specifically happening in Zanzibar. And also there are some of the waste will be processing and recycled, and some of the waste will be disposed directly to the landfills. But all this collection process, it's either formal or informal. And being formal, that means waste is properly managed. But if informal, that's where the problem of poor solid management is happening, and which has been the challenge in our country for a long time now. But for the data, all the data collection that we have been doing, working directly with the communities, we try to discover that. Yes?
I'm not sure if you are seeing the slides as you were moving along with them. We're just seeing one slide. Is it just me?
Can you see the slides?
What?
Yes,
it's on solid waste production, yes.
Do you guys see the slides?
Okay, you can keep on, Asha. I think it's just me. Sorry.
Okay, cool. From the data that we have been collecting, it seems like most of the waste that have been produced are from food remains. And we also say that communities are willing to get the service of waste collection. But for those who do not get waste collection services, they use they handle waste by themselves. As you can see, some maps shows here, there are a large number of communities that they handle waste by themselves, and most of them are living along the rivers. So that means the alternative for them is either burning or bury or dumping the waste into the water channels, which has direct impact to the water accessibilities as well as hygiene to the community. But also some of the communities do not want to pay this kind of services to get the services in their community. This is where the challenge of waste management comes in and has impact to the community, as it shows that most of waste that's been collected, being produced is from food remains. So poorly management of this kind of waste has direct impact to the hygiene, especially to the roads, to the drains that we have. We have seen it in our country, as well as from a mainland in Zanzibar, that most of people dump their waste into either roads, drains, waterways, which affect the whole system of hygiene or sanitations or the water accessibility to the community. But not only is that, all this waste which has been collected, remember, formerly waste that is being collected would be dumped to the waste to the landfills. But what are the locations to the landfill? So we did some analysis to the landfills that are available in our country, both in the mainland and case study in Dar es Salaam. For here in Zanzibar, there is only one landfill, and it's right also the whole area in Unguja. That means there is a long distance that either the vehicles or an informal waste collectors would need to travel to these landfills. So this automatically shows that people would use alternative of dumping waste to either roads or rivers so that they can make their work easier. So this has already impacting the solid waste management. Also, this is an example of Dar es Salaam. There's the city of almost 6 million people, and having only this few have only these few landfills to dump the waste. That means people would always have alternative to dump the waste. So all this kind of data, we try to collect them to provide them to the waste collectors so that they can know what are the pinpoint areas to focus on waste collections. We did some further analysis that as people find alternatives to dump their waste, where do they dump their waste? And this goes to, they dump their waste to water channels. We use high resolution image to create a waste pile image, identifying all the places that have this kind of waste, and people can use these images to do some waste management activities. And here are some of the other perspectives. People are willing, but some are average. And we did try to do some different analysis just to create the data that can be used to manage the waste itself. And these are some of the examples of impact if waste is now well collected. This is an example of one in Unguja and one in Dar es Salaam. But all in that, we find out that because of poor waste management, low community awareness, government initiatives, and poor performance of the service, this all can lead to the poor performance of the waste management in our country. So the data that we always try to collect, we want to feed in to help and remove this gap so that people could get the accessibility of the service and improve the waste collection in our country, and also can be duplicated to other countries as well. That's what we have been doing. We have been doing so much, but I try to summarize it. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asha. Thank you so much for yet another informative presentation. So from Asha, we'll move on to Chabota. Chabota, you have the floor. Please go on.
Thank you, Letwin. Hi, everyone. My name is Chabota. Let me just try to share my screen.
Yeah, and if anyone has questions, please just post them in the chat. We'll come back to them. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Chabota. I'm representing OSM Zambia, Open Data Lab Zambia. I'm currently serving as the lead. So we've so Open Data Lab Zambia has just transformed from OSM Zambia. That was in 2019 when we registered in Zambia as an NGO. Otherwise, we started as OSM Zambia in 2016. I wanted to quickly get to part of the process that we've done. So our mission mainly is to promote the creation and the use of and access of open data for socio-economic and environmental development in Zambia. So we've partnered with quite a number of organizations in our works, that is local organizations and international organizations. So some of the organizations that we work with in Zambia include the Zambia Association of Geospatial Information and Technology, Ministry of Local Government, GIZ, Lusaka City Council, and the Youth Mapa chapters around in Zambia. For international organizations, of course, we work with HOT, the ISA Hub, and the Youth Mapas at large. So some of the projects that we've carried out as Open Data Lab Zambia, we have a project that we're currently doing, which is Map My City project, where we are mapping our cities. We started with Lusaka, we moved on to Chongwe, and then we shall be moving on to our next city. This is basically remote mapping. Then we also did the wash mapping, and we also did some rural electrification in Zambia, and then we had also another one which had to do with Women Connect Challenge. So today I want to quickly just talk about the wash mapping that we carried out in Zambia. So this was done to support the water and sanitation initiatives in Zambia. So OSM Zambia collaborated with the LS, which is the Lusaka Sanitation Program. So a project which was part of the climate-friendly sanitation in peri-urban areas of Lusaka. So there were 3 areas that were targeted that was around in Zambia, in Lusaka, 3 compounds. So the data that was collected by the community members aimed at providing the local government, we partnered with the local government, that is to provide them with detailed maps of the city. So these maps were to be used to improve on-site sanitation and waste management facilities to prevent outbreaks of diseases such as cholera. There was a time when Zambia was hit by cholera. I think it should have been in 2017. I think this is where we did some of our mapping to just help out in the planning. So the project was, or the mapping was funded by GIZ World Bank, and it was conducted in partnership with the Lusaka City Council, which is in charge of sanitation waste management in Zambia. So talking about open data is important and advantageous since other organizations are able to use the data for development purposes and also planning in these peri-urban areas that we did map. So our mapping, of course, began with remote mapping of these areas before we went into the field to do data collection. So some of the tools that we used was OGK Collect, of course, and Open Map Kits. We used JOSIM, and we also used QGIS, and we also used some local dipsticks and some measuring tapes. So most of them you could be familiar with what they were used for. Of course, we had the form for our survey or for our field data collection in ODK. Open Map Kit just helped us also with the maps. JOSIM was used for remote mapping and also for finally uploading the data onto RSM, because some of these points were uploaded onto RSM. And QGIS was used for generation of maps. So for the dipsticks, we partnered with Lusaka City Council, and what used to happen for the toilets, because we were mapping toilets. If you sit down there, the data collectors on water points, toilets, and the sewer system or the sewer lines. So dipsticks were used to measure the depths of the toilets. Then the measuring tapes were used to measure the sizes, that is the width and the length of the toilets. So you could see some of the pictures there. This huge team about to be deployed in the field and just the data collector collecting the water point. So this is just a sample map of the distribution of sanitation in Kanyama, one of the peri-urban areas that we work with. So on my right, if you're able to see, there's some numbers. Sorry, I forgot to put my phone in. Oh my God, okay, yes, I was here. So some of the numbers that we collected, we had a number of water tanks that were collected, about 429 in Kanyama. We had some water towers, and we had a number of wells that were collected. Yeah, and so this is just a dashboard of some of the points that were collected in Kanyama. I think some of the challenges that we faced, there are not so many. It was just the community resistance that is in the field. You know, when the community is not sensitized very well, and there are times when they think you're coming to inspect, you're coming to get to inspect on what they're doing, is it legal, it's not legal. So there was that resistance before you could explain to them what you're really doing. So as Open Data Lab Zambia, our long-term goal is just to fully map Zambia and continue to map the most vulnerable communities to disaster in Zambia, and to promote OpenStreetMap in Zambia, to support humanitarian organizations in Zambia, and just for disaster response and preparedness. Thank you so much. I would be glad to receive some questions from my presentation. Back to you, Letwin.
Thank you so much, Shabota. Thank you. We are learning. So our next presenter will be Ero Musale. John, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you everyone. Let me share my screen. So let me know when you can see my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just make my slide show from the beginning. Okay, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending on the part where you are. So today I'll be presenting on open source tools can actually open up communities for good. So I want to share some of my experiences and also let you know how you can, how open source tools can also aid you in opening up communities, because typically when anybody engages, most people engage in projects, community-driven projects, there are lots of challenges and a lot of reasons why you might not be able to succeed in that project. But and one of them is the availability of tools and data. So I want to nudge you to always look towards open source tools, and this can also give you a breakthrough. So quickly in the next 4 or 5 minutes, we'll be talking about how open source tools can do this. I'll be sharing my experiences from the field, quick tools, and also point you to 1 or 2 collaborating opportunities. So let's just hit the ground running. So I'm a civic technologist, that's me there. One of our major projects on Makoko was award-winning. I think that became the first African project to win the prestigious Sigma Award. And I'm also a grantee of the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap and the Police Center on Crisis Reporting with respect to that project. So as time permits, I will share a couple of projects and how we're able to succeed on it. So before now, one of the ways open source can actually help you, open source tools can help you open up communities. There is a community that is called Makoko, and is one of just many other communities out there that needs to gain visibility, that faces the typical challenge of communities that are lacking technology and capacity to map their community or connect with the larger community out there. So before 2019, Makoko was not represented on any map, any official map. The most you will see of Makoko, it's just represented by a dot. And my team came together and said, okay, let's see how we can do. As at that time, I was working at Code for Africa, and I was the project manager. So permit me to go off my slide a little bit so I can really bring you closer to this community. If you don't mind, Letwin, can I do that?
Yes, sure, go on.
Okay, so this story on Makoko, we did the maps, we used open source tools, and we were able to also tie this mapping, data gathering with journalism. And that way, using data journalism, we're able to speak to authorities, we're able to talk to all stakeholders, because before then there was issue around the land rights in Makoko, you know, between the government and the community. And so this story was, this project actually helped to place them on the map and also map them alongside the Lagos, which is known as mega city, you know. So we're trying to see that, we made them understand that map data is the baseline data that is required for any community to actually thrive and enjoy other technologies that they decided to, that they might want to enjoy even in the future. So we provided baseline data using open data kits, and we mapped the community. We also used drones, and we got drone footage of the community. But before doing this, we had to engage with the community with lots of town halls, integrated them with the project, made them to understand the project, and we got their buy-in. And we also did this with partnering with some local some local NGOs. So I will mute the video. I will play the video of the community so you just get a glimpse of the community while I talk more about the community. So this is actually how the community looks like. I hope you can see it on my screen. Can you see the video, Letwin?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a typical day-to-day life at Makoko. So children go to school on canoes, and businesses are done on top water. And this water has streets, kind of where they navigate and they do their day-to-day activities. So actually, this story was being published in partnership with Code for Africa and The Guardian. And it was one of the stories that won the Sigma Award in 2021. And so Makoko, it's actually a community that you can see that is underserved, and it actually lacks visibility before now. This is the ballet of the community, one of the heads of the community as it is, and we were able to make him get a buy-in. So he understood the project and gave us authorizations to go into the community. So that way we did not get much of a pushback or resistance, and we had local guides that went with us. So for me, this was an awesome experience because I was thinking, how do I map? I've done lots of mapping before now, but not over water. So I was imagining, how do I take coordinates on top of wooden canoes? Okay, so but we were able to do this, and the project became a success. So we were able to integrate our map data and our drone footage. We used the Hudson Tax Manager. I'll show you a lot of other tools that we used in between as we progress. So Makoko is a community that has over 300,000 residents as declared by the heads of the community. And so we're able to give them names of their streets and other points of interest. We mapped both terminals, SMEs, and a lot of other little startups and points of interest, like local bars, place of worships, and we also mapped water points. So we mapped drinking water points. So they had drinking water point boreholes that were drilled in this community. And after this map project, you see, mapping is a continuous project. So after this first phase of mapping, and we created the map, which I'm going to show you, then what we did was we went back to the community to also map these water points again to see which ones are now active, which ones are no longer active. Then we also went back to also do, we combined science with journalism and mapping. So we had to do laboratory analysis of these water points, and we were able to see the contaminants that were existing in this water, this drinking water. So I was able to advise them on treatment measures and boreholes that they shouldn't drink from and all of those things. So that was an informed project extension of the mapping project. So because of time, if you want to watch this, you can just go to theguardian.ng stories on Makoko. The title of this story is Neglected and Unmapped. So it's a whole lot of information here. So because of time, you can just visit the page and you'll see that. So I'll just quickly show you the map, how it looks like on OpenStreetMap. So this is Makoko now on the OpenStreetMap. And if you zoom in, you will see borehole water points. Okay, so there are now boreholes. These are active water points. And these water points we have tested, we have data on the various physiochemical parameters of this water point. So when going a step further, that data is available as open data, and it's on the Open Africa portal. So you can even go a step further and integrating those data with this map, so that you can make visualizations and see how you can interact with those maps. So it could tell you more details about each of these water points. Okay, so back to my presentation slide. That's about Makoko. I bring you more experience from the field. So currently, there is a project I'm working on. I'll just whet your appetite about it because it's not fully published, but it's how it's a community in the East, how we're able to use technology to identify the various contaminants in the water points. So we discovered that there is a hydrocarbon contamination from a pit that has been contaminating underground water and farmlands. So this is just a map view of the community of the pits. So once the story has been published, I will share you will see more details about it. We have drone footage of the community and of the pit. So what you're seeing here is a black pit where you have hydrocarbons being deposited by the government over time, and this has infiltrated the soil.
John. Sorry, you have a minute to go,
yes?
Please.
Okay, thank you. So because of time, so this is the pit, and you can see the facility and a few other community residential buildings around. So these are some of the tools that we used in the project. We have Google Sheet, we have Open Aerial Map, we used OpenStreetMap, we use Flourish Studio, Google Meets, Hotsum, Tax Manager, and we also used Open Data Kit. So thank you, but I'll just show you one opportunity that also exists. So is an opportunity also that you can also tap in currently. I'll share the link with you in my presentation. So thank you all. I'll take questions, please.
Okay, thank you so much, John. So we'll have the question and answer session after all the presenters are done with their presentations. So just hang in there. Thank you so much. So our next speaker will be Maria Nabowembo. Maria, the floor is yours.
Maria, I've made you co-host. You should be able to unmute yourself now.
Yeah, hello, Maria. Hello. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, please.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the screen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Maria Nabowembo. I'm from Kampala, Uganda. And I'm going to be presenting about project worked on in WASH. It's basically about improving access to water and sanitation facilities in the informal settlements of Kampala. And the problem was basically because of the very many people that live in the informal settlements of Kampala. And many of them lack access to safe, clean water and safely managed sanitation facilities. So, and mainly children are the ones that are most affected since most of them died from diarrhea, like around 15,000 children die annually from diarrhea. And despite the efforts of government, these conditions have scarcely improved, whereby you may find that it's only 3 in 10 people that have access to basic water supply, and only 6% have access to sanitation facilities. Next slide, please. And women are the most affected in these areas because they suffer the burden of collecting water from far places and at night risking sexual and physical violence. So we came up with a solution. It's more like the proposed solution. By that time, because it was a 1-year project, and we worked in one of the divisions in Kampala, which was called Nakawa Division. We worked in 2 of their largest slums, that was Chinyawatakanagur, and the solution was basically to create reliable geospatial data of the water and sanitation facilities, analyze it and share the results with the stakeholders. And why we were doing the analysis was basically to come up with answers to some of the questions like which water facilities need upgrading, which sanitation facilities need reconstruction, where should new water and sanitation facilities be established, and why in those areas. So we began by engaging stakeholders, where we engaged both city and local leaders. And for the local leaders, we managed to get information from them that they would want to see in these products that we are going to produce for them. So we got information of what they would want to see, what is their main focus that should be acted on by the authorities such that service delivery is improved in this area. So as after the discussions with them, we went on to get volunteers from the communities, and volunteers that can be able to acquire technical knowledge and skills to be able to create the information themselves. So we so sorry about that. My network is not so good. Just I'm out in the field. But let me proceed. Like we trained them both on doing remote mapping and data collection. So we had a series of training and sessions with them. So they were equipped with the tools to do the creation and the production. After the trainings, they had to go out in the field and begin on the data collection. And they were able to realize that a lot was happening in their communities simply because they were seeing it already, but they did not put more focus on it. So it's more like this project brought awareness to them, and they realized some of the challenges that are affecting them in one way or another. So after the trainings and the data collection, we had a data validation with them together with the leaders. So they try to prove that before we produce the final products, they are able to verify that the information is correct and the right before we even upload it further to the OpenStreetMap platform. So after the verification, we managed to upload most of the data to OpenStreetMap and also produce some of the products, including maps, web maps, and then dashboards that could showcase and bring out the status of these services in these areas. So we came up with also static maps that could tell the numbers apart from just seeing the spatial distribution of these services, but also show the number. And we also came up with analysis maps that could tell where is the inadequacy, where should focus be put, both in water and sanitation. So through these maps, we had a data sharing, like communicating the data to the stakeholders, both the city and the local leaders themselves. So through these interaction sessions with them, we wanted to get impactful solutions, not rather discussions, because I believe discussions are already being made and people just stop on discussions, but rather we wanted live solutions from these leaders. So because we had like evidence-based information, like maps that could actually tell that this particular area is totally lacking facilities, it is having high populations of people, but then there are no facilities for them. So we had to get the water organizations, we had to get KCCA, like Kampala Capital City Authority, to come in majorly, because when we're interacting with Kampala Capital City Authority, we wanted them majorly to come in the sanitation bit, simply because we had got offers of help for water, but then no one was willing to act on the sanitation for this area. So the only option we had was to get the Kampala Capital City Authority to act, because these areas are very badly off when it comes to sanitation. But when different agencies come in, they probably come in and help more on the water side rather than on the sanitation side. So you realize that there is a lot of open defecation in these areas. There is a lot of poor usage of the drainages. So with the different stakeholder engagements in the data sharing sessions we had, they had to come in and actually begin helping out these people in draining their toilets, because the situation was alarming and people could actually get sick and even die of just claim it's just typhoid. Yeah, that was the name they were giving it. It's typhoid that is killing them. Yet in actual sense, it's the odor that is coming from these toilets that is spoiling their health. So we managed to get the Kampala Capital City Authority to act, and also got aid for establishment of water facilities for them in these 4 identified areas in the settlements that were really lacking facilities. And also, because the status of the facilities was being shown, we managed to get aid that can help in the repairing of these facilities. However, not all facilities were repaired, but you could see that there is action being done because of the presence of information. So there is so much that can be done when information is being placed on the table. There is a lot that that can be presented, and I believe with the use and open knowledge that we are learning and that we are going to learn, we can create more impact and generate future solutions that can be so helpful to our communities that we are working in. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you for the wonderful presentation also. So, yeah, that brings it. Unfortunately, we're missing one of our speakers. Unfortunately, they couldn't join us for the meantime. So we'll just go back to the question and answer section. So the first question here is, what is changes to tags that was needed in OSM? The question is directed to Zach.
Yeah, so for this project, one of the things that we also wanted to capture was the condition of the toilets, and wanted to look at their status, whether they are in good condition, dilapidated, or moderate. So we didn't have those tags already there, so we had to rework them. So we've just basically what we usually do, because if they're not there, we try to follow the right structures of how to create a tag, then create something around that. So there was that condition of the facility, then the location of the facility also. So we also realized that some of these wash facilities, especially the toilets, some of them are either located within a school, within a church, or openly, most of them in the public next to the roads, but we also have them, some of them located in different places within the community. So we didn't have also that tag. So again, we had to create one. And there are many other. I think what we did, we kind of documented the tags that we had before, the pre-existing one from the previous project that we've done, and also documented the new tags that we were generating. But we are open to discussion about those tags, because I know these are also like a working group that handles tags. But yeah, so that's the challenge that we are facing, and we had to build some tags from the scratch.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Another question for you is, how many people have answered to the survey, just in average?
So the project, we did it in Kibera and another informal settlement in Nairobi called Mathare. So approximately, so we had like around 300 in Kibera and 300 also in Mathare. So that's a total of 600 surveys that we did in these two locations.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I will just skip one question for you to just have a small break. To Zach and Asha, but I would love for Asha to pick this one. Have you documented the process of doing this work, like started team, collecting the data and technical tasks in a public website or wiki? Such documentation would be really helpful to replicate such projects in other parts of the world. So Asha, you can take this one.
Yes, thank you. Yes, for the waste management, we did some documentations, and also we have reports and methodology that is in our website, but also the reports and everything can be shared if someone needs them. But you can find them in omdtz.or.tz. You can find those documentations.
Okay, thank you so much. And also to Zach and Kay and Asha, what challenges, what are some of the challenges you have experienced while implementing this project? Zach, you may want to go first.
Yeah, from our end, I don't know if it's the same situation in every other community, but there's usually conflict of interest when it comes to the area of wash, especially things to do with solid waste. So there are some places where, as much as we want to provide a solution or find like a better place to where people can be able to dump their waste, there's usually, most of these waste sites are also like businesses for people. So there are people who are thriving on that because they have already identified like spots and that they're operating it as a business. So in terms of collecting the waste and also sorting them out. So trying to map them, they will always feel like you are trying to expose their business, then they will become hostile. So we had to talk to them, and we were just trying to highlight where these sites are, and then try to show those that are illegal, then try to work with the government, in this case the county government of Nairobi, try to see if they can provide like more permanent waste dumping sites where these people can also move. If they decide again to keep them, they can always find a place where they can. But unfortunately, that's the hostility that we faced in terms of people are trying to protect their businesses, because for them, this is like a source of livelihood, sorting out the waste and trying to sell them as scrap in other places. The other thing was accessing these facilities. Some of them are not in good condition, so trying to find their way around where they are, to try to map them, because you also want to get accurate location of the facility. So we had a lot of problem trying to move around accessing those facilities because of also their status. In both locations, you find like most of the toilets are located within next to the rivers, because how they have been built is their waste is supposed to be released into the river. So that's how they come up with a way of offloading the toilets. So again, trying to find your way around the river problem. Yeah, but I would say at the top of mind, those are two. Yeah, hostility from the community because of trying to protect their businesses, that is around solid waste, but also accessibility of some of those facilities where they are.
Okay, thank you so much, Zach. So we're really rushing because of our time. So Asha, I would like you to also answer the question concerning the challenges that you experienced. Please kindly make it a bit short because of our time.
So the challenge that we faced was, first of all, was accessibility to the remote areas during the mapping, especially household mapping. So the alternative was using high drone resolution imaging to identify the waste collection points and do the digitizations. But also we faced the community awareness. Community, especially in household surveys, were not willing to give us information about the waste disposal. And then we tried to work with local leaders from the beginning, just to try for community to understand that this is for their benefits and not for otherwise. That's how we try to solve the problem.
Thank you so much. Another question for you, Asha, is someone said they'd like to know which OSM map layers or type that was used to plot the red colored polygons where the solid waste was being dumped.
Okay, so we used high resolution drone images to digitize those polygons. And then we worked with local leaders and a team to validate those digitized polygons. So we use drone image now also. Then we digitize using QGIS.
Okay, thank you so much. There's another question here which says, I would like to hear your thoughts on how to integrate public authorities when they are resistant to collaboration or unaware of what OSM can help them with. Chabota, can you pick that one?
Hi, Lucy. I did get that question.
Okay, it says, I would like to hear your thoughts on how to integrate public authorities when they are resistant to collaboration or unaware of what OSM can help them with.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think the question is valid. That at times we get to have local authorities being resistant, and I think this is basically because they're not fully aware of RSM and how RSM can help them. And mainly what they're resistant to is when you talk of remote mapping and validation, because issues of quality and how are you sure of what you're mapping, the imagery that you're using. But when it comes to field data collection, I think there you can assure them that this is field data collection and we have our mappers, who we have volunteers that are actually on the ground and picking the correct or the accurate information. So it's just basically about explaining how these processes work. And once you have the data on RSM, that they can easily access it, download it, and use it in their planning and their daily work activities. Thank you. I don't know if that's okay.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to some of the questions that we got from Lumio. I see there are a lot of questions here, but we'll try to answer as many as we can because we have limited time. Another question here is, aside from the tools used and the methodology, how are the communities, NGOs, and governments, etc., how are they using the data generated to improve people's lives? Maria, would you like to take that one?
Sure.
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Well, right from the beginning of any project, these are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I think you are a bit audible now.
Hello.
Yeah. Oh.
You are breaking in a bit.
Are you able to hear me now? I don't know.
Yes, I guess.
Okay, let me go
Can you
ahead.
maybe continue?
Thank you for that question. Right from the beginning of any project, these community organizations are always how about now?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you're breaking a bit. Okay, so maybe you can type the response in the chat for everyone to see it. Maybe I'll give it to Aaron Mosele. John, can you pick the question? Okay, Zach?
I can pick the question. I was trying to unmute. So what's the question?
Okay, thank you. So the question was, aside from the tools and the methodology, how have been the community, the NGOs and the governments, how have they used the data generated to improve people's lives?
Okay, from the government part, for the project we did, immediately the Ministry of Waste and Environment in Lagos contacted us, and because the data is open, we give them access to the data, so they are able to understand the community and points in the put points of waste disposal, because one of the challenge in the community also waste, and that's one way the government has used it. Then NGOs, a number of NGOs have been coming, and now the community is proud to say we have a map. You can see more details about the map. And there was a particular NGO that leveraged on the data in disbursing support palliatives to the community. Okay, so and the data is also open because we had a conversation with a couple of organizations, and one of them was talking about building a kind of a commercial boat fleet. So with the boat terminals that are available there, that data is available for them to use to develop that.
Okay, thank you so much, John. So we'll take this one as the last question because of our time. We need to move on to the editathon. So the question is if you could mobilize a million mappers across the world to participate in a global campaign to build the data infrastructure to support WASH programming, what would it focus on?
Okay.
Any one of you presenters can just pick it up. Yeah.
Okay. For me, I will mobilize people. The project will be, I will mobilize towards sustainable clean water, because in fact, that is the next line I'm looking into right now. There is water scarcity, and the problem is that some citizens do not agree that there is water scarcity because of they actually lack the education. They don't even understand that there is shortage of potable water. You know, and by my background as an industrial chemist, that I've been able to treat water over time. I think there is a whole lot to be done in that regard.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you everyone for your questions, and I hope some of your questions have been asked, but because of your time, we need to shift now to the next part of our session. So I'll give this time to Geoffrey. Geoffrey, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Letwin. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so yeah, in this part of the session, we are just going to be looking at the OSM Wiki as a tool that we can use for documenting projects. I think it has been mentioned by several speakers. Yeah, so when Zach was presenting the lessons learned from the project they did in Kibra was trying to do documentation so that if other people are trying to do, trying to implement a similar project, they have documentation that they can reuse, especially around tagging and all that. So I think that the OSM Wiki is one of the best tools to use for that. So this is how it looks like. Yeah, it's like, this is like the main page of the OSM Wiki. But what a wiki really is a platform that people can edit collaboratively, but it's also kind of open because anyone can edit it. So one of the things that you'll see when you visit the OSM Wiki is some guides on how to do different things. There's things about events. There is even news here. And one of the things that you need to do to be able to edit the wiki is actually to have an account. So yeah, you have to do that by clicking on create account here and filling in this simple form. You can see here how many edits have been made on the OSM Wiki so far, around 2.5 million edits, and it has 72,000 pages. And the recent contributors are actually 665. But yeah, if you have an account, then you just have to log in. One of the other things that you can do, of course, you can also search for existing documentation. For example, there is this page which is very important, which is map features. So if you are wondering like how a particular feature is tagged on OpenStreetMap, you can always go to the map features page. But also people have documented different projects. So if I come here and search for water and sanitation, then I can be able to see some projects that have been documented on the wiki that are around that topic. So there is several results that have come here. And actually I can see one here that I think was the project that Zach presented. So this was a proposal for that project, but you can clearly see, what they were trying to achieve and how much it was going to cost them, because so there is like a budget. So this is like very useful documentation. You can also look at another example of a project that was documented here. So there is this one here, water and sanitation mapping of informal settlements in Kampala. Was also another kind of project proposal. Yeah, so there's different projects that you can always find, and that's why it's always good to document, because if it's on the OSM Wiki, it means people can easily find it. Yeah, so what I need to do now quickly is just to show you, in case you have your project that you want to document on the OSM Wiki, how can you do it? So I'm just going to take us through a few basics on how to do this. All right. Yeah, so one of the things, like I mentioned, you need to do is make sure you have an account. You can't create a wiki page on the OSM Wiki without having an account. It's different from the from your OpenStreetMap account, so you'd have to create a new account for just specifically the OSM Wiki. If you want, you can use the same username as used on your OpenStreetMap account. A few people have found a few issues to create accounts from their own countries. Yeah, but if you find an issue, you can always try to use a VPN if you see account creation is getting blocked, or you can reach out for help. So yeah, For me, I already have my account, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Yeah, so I'm logged in here. Yeah, this is how that I'm still on the main page, but now I know I'm logged in here because I can see my username here. And if you click on your username, you can even write something about yourself so that if people find you on the OSM Wiki, they can also read a little bit about you to know about you. So this is like, it's called a user page. So whenever you make an edit on the OSM Wiki, then there is history of who edited, and people will try to use that history to know who you are. I can show you another good example here. So there is, there is a wiki project here, which was for mapping Uganda infrastructure, water infrastructure. So there is introduction about the project, the objectives. There is a map which shows the area of interest where the project was happening, the imagery that was used, the tools that were used, the approach that they used to do the mapping, the training, and also actually the data model that they used to collect that data. There is a project timeline and also the data cleaning process. So this project is kind of like very much well documented on the OSM Wiki, and it's like a very good example of how to do your documentation for your project. But I think like also some of the speakers mentioned, one of the things you can do also if you want to import data, because sometimes you have already existing data that you have collected on a particular project and you want to import that data into OpenStreetMap. So the process is that you'll have to first document how you're going to do the import, what data it is what kind of data you have, what is its attributes, what is the license of that data. You have permissions to import it in OpenStreetMap, and then you have to go to the import wiki and try to document like the process you are going to follow through to import your data and how you're going to conflate it with OpenStreetMap data, and then you go ahead to add it. Yeah, so sometimes it's easier to just import the data that you already have than going on ground to collect new data. But like I've said, if you click on the history page of any page here, you will see the history of that particular page. So who edited it, when, and what changes they made. So there is like a complete history of any page. Also, that the interesting bit is that each country has its own page on the wiki. So if you want to see projects on OpenStreetMap which have happened in, for example, Uganda, even the groups that are existing in Uganda, like mapping groups, you can go to Wiki Project Uganda, and you can be able to see a list of those different projects. So they are covered down here. So yeah, check out the wiki page of your country. And if you find like some projects are not documented there that you have worked on, you can also add them. So how do you create a wiki page? Is what I want to cover now. So the easiest way to create a new wiki page, let me just use an example here. So there is this project which I was showing you, which was still for mapping water infrastructure in Uganda. So I'm just going to use this as an example and try to replicate the same kind of project. I'm not going to save it, but I'll just use the same text. So as we can see here, it says Wiki Project Uganda / Uganda Water Infrastructure Mapping Project. So basically, if you want to create a new project, what you would do, let me see here. I'm just going to go to the main page here. So I'll just come here where there is the URL, and then I'm going to put a / and then put the name of my project. Okay, so let me just call it Gulu Water Infrastructure mapping. Okay, so if I press enter here, check what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that it is looking for, okay, it is making it as a sub-page of the main page. Let me just make sure I don't do that. So I'll just remove the word main page and write Gulu water infrastructure mapping. Then I press enter. So this is the name of my project, Gulu Water Infrastructure Mapping. So it is current, it's telling me there is currently no text in this page. And now it is asking me to create this page. So I want to create this page. So I'll just go ahead and click on create. So this is where I'm now going to write my content. So what I always advise you to do is first prepare your document in a Word document. And then after that, just copy it and bring it to the wiki. So I already have my content here, which I want to bring to the wiki. So I have the title, I have the introduction, I have the objectives of the project. So I'm just going to copy this content and take it the other side. But if I do that, what I'm going to do is to put the section. So the first section is going to be the introduction. Okay. I also want to add the objectives of my project. I also add the data model. So I'm just going to use these 3 sections as an example. So I know these are titles. So the way to write titles in here, and I just want to show you this quick, I can say useful tool. So you can see on the right hand side here, it says switch editor. So there are 2 types of editors we can use when editing the OpenStreetMap wiki. One is the visual editor, which is really kind of visual. It looks like Word, and also the source editor. So I'm going to switch to the visual editor, which because it is like more user-friendly. So I have my title here. I also have my section. So this is introduction, this is objectives, and then this is data model. So I'm going to come here and select introduction. I'll come here where there is paragraph, click on the drop-down arrow and say this is heading. Okay, so you can see it is now drafted as a heading. Then I'll also do the same here. Then I'll come to data model as well. Okay, so I've added my sections, and now I'm going to go and add content in each section. So I'll copy my content for the introduction, and then I will add it here. Okay, then I also want to add the objectives. So you can see the objectives here are numbered. So I'm going to also show you how to number, to create like a list when editing the wiki. So I'll paste this here. So yeah, the numbers are already there, but if they were not, I could just select them and then come here. And then I say numbered lists. Okay, so that's how you kind of add a numbered list. So if you want bullets, you use bullets. If you want numbers, you use numbered lists here. The other thing that you can do, you can also add links. So for example, if I want to add a link to the COVID pandemic, okay, I'll come here, select those words, come here and search for COVID pandemic. So I can either link to something which is existing on the OpenStreetMap wiki, or I can link to an external site. So for example, if I want to link to an external site, I'll come here and search for COVID. I'll look for, the PDF article maybe is be a good example. So I just want to link this and link it to my article that I'm writing. So I've pasted this link here and then done. So you can see this is appearing as a link with something that someone can click on. Okay, so I've added my introduction, I've added my objectives. If you want to add an image, for example, on this page here that I'm using as an example, there is a map that is being used here. Yeah, I have to first upload it to the OpenStreetMap wiki. So when you look here, there is a button which says upload file. So you have to upload the file here. There are some guidelines here on which files you can upload and which ones you can't upload. Okay, so I know this image is already uploaded on the wiki, and I'm just going to use it as an example. Its file name is project area map final. So I'm just going to come here and say insert images. So once you upload an image on the OpenStreetMap wiki, or even if it is on Wikimedia Commons, you just search for it and then you add it. So these are some of the images. Let me see, project area, if it can come up here. Okay, so if you have, let us say you have uploaded it and you search its name and it appears here, you just have to say use image, then you add here a caption. This is project area, and then you can say insert. You can also add like alternative area for accessibility. Yeah, but you can see here the image has been added. So the last thing that I want to show, I'm just in the interest of time, is how to add a table. So for example, there is this table here. Let me just use a very simple one. Yeah, you want to add a table. Yeah, there are different tools which you can use. There's this one, which is like a long table. Yeah, one that I really like is called tables generator. It's called the wiki tables generator. It's just easy to find. Yeah, if you search online. So this one here, it creates like tables that you can easily add on the wiki. So what you have to do is just to have like your table in a spreadsheet. For example, mine here is already on a spreadsheet. So yeah, you prepare your data model in a spreadsheet for Microsoft Excel. So to add it to the wiki, you just copy this. You go to the wiki tables generator, you go to file, then you say paste table data. So you paste it here. You can choose to get also the formatting colors, and then you click load. So yeah, when you click load, it will load it for you here. Then you say generate. So when you say generate, then you just have to copy this to the clipboard, and now you can add it to your table here. I would say it's better for you to add it in source editor. So you switch to source editing here. Okay. Sorry. Looks like I've just lost my edits, but yeah, let me just bring them back here. One of the useful things that you can do here is to show preview. So if I click on show preview here, it will show me how my edits will look like. But I still have my edits down here. I'll just put back my introduction. And also my objectives. Okay, so I'm almost there. Yeah, I need to make sure these titles again. So I can also do it if I'm using the source editor. I can use equal signs. So if I put to equal signs, then that will be a heading. Okay. Yeah, so I can again preview here. Yeah, short preview. So I have my introduction objectives, but as you can see here, the objectives are not listed. So I need to make sure that they are listed by. So if I add like, yeah, a hash sign, then that means it will be a numbered list. Yeah, but like I said, you can also do it in, yeah, in the visual editor, which is a bit, yeah, more user-friendly. So I have my objectives, I have my table here. So once you feel like your page is ready for publishing, you have to come here and add an edit summary, just like the same way we do it when editing OpenStreetMap. Whenever we make a change on OpenStreetMap, we add like a change set comment. So it's the same thing here. I'll add and say creating page for Google Wash mapping. And then I'll go ahead and save page. But before you do save, it's always good to first preview so that you make sure everything is okay. And then you save. So like I said, this is not an actual project, so I'm not going to click save. I was just using it for the demonstration. So yeah, basically in a nutshell, that's how you edit the OpenStreetMap wiki. You may also edit existing pages. That means you're not creating a new page, but you are improving an existing page. Yeah, so you can go ahead and look for existing documentation on WASH projects. You can also document your WASH project that you did so that other people can learn from you. So if you are planning to do an import, then you can also document your import process on the wiki before you share it with the import mailing lists. So yeah, I'll stop there and hand over back to you to let you in case there is any questions. Happy to take them.
Okay, thank you so much, Geoffrey. I don't know if we have any questions for Geoffrey. Any questions in the chat, Awa?
There is a hand from Kenneth. Let me see. Kenneth, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for the wonderful presentations and the demo as well. Just a quick one, Geoffrey. Is there a way, because you had to switch to the sourcing editing, is there a way on the preview how you can add the table, or you just have to switch back to the same? Is there a way that you can easily add a table on the not switching back to the sourcing edit, or maybe you just have to switch in the view editing? Yeah, so thanks. If you're speaking, Geoffrey, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So yeah, it's possible to add a table in the visual editor. So I've switched to visual editor here. So I've clicked where I want to insert my table, and now I can come here and I say insert. So when I say insert, then I can come here and I say table. So now I can now come here and edit my table. So let's say this is district. Maybe this is the month when we shall do the mapping there. Then maybe the lead. Okay. Yeah, if there's a column which I don't want, I can easily say delete column. I can say, can click on this arrow and I say insert below. So it will add another row. And then I'll just, yeah, go ahead and put the table.
Sorry to cut you short. I thought there was, because we had already created the table in the wiki table generator. So I thought there was a way that we can just easily insert that rather than going the manual way. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to use the table generator, I like the table generator because it makes it easier to create like tables. But yeah, you can also use like the insert if you want to do it. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. So this is, if I turn to source editor, this is how the code looks like for the table. Okay. This is the code for that table. So it looks really, yeah, a lot of code, which may not be like very user friendly, but in the source editor, then it looks like this. So yeah, if I want to edit my table by adding, for example, a new row, I can do that. If I want to add a new column, I can do that. Yeah, so just about, yeah, if you want to use the source editor, you can do it and just use the table generator to import your table here. But if you don't want to use the table generator, then you can just insert your table using this tool here, which is insert table. Does that answer your question, Kenneth?
Yeah, great, amazing, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if we have any other questions for Geoffrey.
I think there's one question in the chat. That's how can I add an already collected coordinator in OSM data base or OSM wiki?
Come again with a question. How can you do it?
Then how can I add an already collected coordinates in OSM data or OSM wiki?
Okay, I think yeah, I think what Daniel is asking, yeah, if he already has already existing data, how can he add that data to OpenStreetMap? So I'll just try to break it down very quickly. So one of the things you have to do is to make sure it matches OpenStreetMap tagging. Yeah, because you may have collected the data and it has like attributes, but they don't exactly match the tagging in OpenStreetMap. So you have to go to the OpenStreetMap wiki, check the tags that are there, and also try to modify your tags to make sure that they match, yeah, they match the OpenStreetMap tagging. That is the first step. The second step is you have to document the process that you're going to follow to do the import. And that way you have to kind of clearly identify like, yeah, this is how I collected the data. This is where sometimes you may even get data from government.
Is your screen shared?
No, it's not shared. I'm just explaining. But yeah, I can pick an example maybe here to use. Let me just share my screen quickly as I explain. Yeah, so yeah, let me just use this example of this particular project. So these people, they collected lots of data, but when they came to import data in OpenStreetMap, they realized that they can't upload all the different attributes. So they had to kind of choose what to import and what not to import. Okay. So this is the only data that they imported. They imported amenity, water point, drinking water, yes, type. They put like the type of a source, the operational status, fee, yes or no, and then operator. And when you compare that to the data that they collected, so this is the full list of data they collected. But when it came to importing data to OpenStreetMap, they realized that you can only import some of the features. And I think that's one of the limitations that we have with OpenStreetMap, because someone may may be interested. I think like someone like John, who is a water engineer, may want to to add like lots of data, but then OpenStreetMap is only limited to only a few data types that it can take. So the process is document your project, write to the import mailing lists, share the workflow that you're going to use. They will give you feedback, and then after that, you do the import. Yeah, and if you need like support also on how to import the data, just reach out on the mailing list. People can help you to come up with the import process. Yes, but yeah, you have to use like tools like, for example, JOSM to load the data and do the configuration process.
Okay, thank you, Geoffrey. I think hey, there are like a lot of questions for you coming up from the chat. I don't know if you I'll answer this one. It says how to add references and how to link a page to another, like the SOTM and call for venue and related.
Yeah, how do you add references and how do you link another page to another? Okay, yeah, I don't know how much time I still have, but yeah, I can answer that very quickly. So let us say, yeah, this is the wiki project for Uganda, and I actually want to link another project to this, like a sub page to the Uganda page, right? I'll just come up here where there's the URL, then I'll say, I put a slash, and then I write the name of my project. So let us say the project is mapping informal settlements. In Uganda. So I press enter. And what is going to happen is that it's going to ask me to create this page. But you can see it is a sub page of the main page. So it's already linked to my main page. So it's linked to the Wiki Uganda page because it is Wiki Uganda then stroke mapping informal settlement. So I'll just have to go here, then I say create this page, and then I'll go ahead to create the page. So his other question was, how do you add, how do you add the link? So to add a link, like I said, you just have to select the text that you want to link. For example, I wanted to add the link to COVID-19. So I just go to the website for COVID-19, I copy the link, then come to my page here. I click on the link here, and then I'll just type in, and then I say insert. So that's how you kind of insert a link. So that's basically how to insert a link in your page. But also it has like some advanced features here that you can always make advantage of. So like this is the one now, if you want to add like a reference, so if I want to add a reference, I'll come here, click on add reference, then I'll add my reference here, which will be like a link to a particular website, and then it will be added as a reference at the bottom of the page. So that's how you add a reference, and that's how you link to different pages.
Thank you so much, Geoffrey. Thank you so much for the wonderful editathon. So questions keep coming. I think you have to be checking the chat. And please, if anyone has other further questions, please reach out to Geoffrey because we are a bit behind our time. So for the meantime, I would ask everyone who is comfortable to please share your screen. Let's see those beautiful faces of yours, and we want also to take a group picture. Geoffrey, can you help me with the group photo?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So just waiting for people to come on camera, then I'll take the group photo. Also shared my contact in the chat in case anyone has questions. Please don't hesitate to reach out. All right, so I'm about to take the photo. So people who have not yet switched on their cameras, you have just a few minutes. Yeah. Yeah, and also ask any community working group member to also take a photo, just in case mine doesn't come out nicely. But I'm going to count on 3 and then take the photo. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, capture. All right, so yeah, photo has been taken, and yeah, back to you, the twin. I'll share the photo on the Slack channel.
Hello, Latwin.
Letwin, are you still here? Okay, I think I'll just take over and thank you all for joining, and thank you, Letwin, for the perfect moderation. And as we posted in the chat earlier, we would love to keep the conversation going via Lumio, and we will actually add the responses from the speakers there. So if you have more questions or if you have anything you'd like to share with the group, please share. And we normally run this webinar monthly, so stay posted on the HOTOSM Twitter and the other social media for more updates. Thank you so much for joining in.